I'm not liable.
Yep. So I think
So
that what we are trying to do here is not we are trying to sell you some kind of bullshit. We are just saying that what we went through can be avoided somehow. Yeah, I think that you are really right on your point, and uh, I would add one last thing to your thought is that
mhm.
sometimes we think we know what we need, but or what the gamer public will want, but we need to give them the opportunity to express themselves. And that was one of our major problems was to get playtesters because it's really hard for a small studio
Yeah,
to have a playtest session.
absolutely engaging playtesters, especially for a
Yeah,
multiplayer game. Yeah, no, that's not gonna happen.
it's really really
uh,
difficult. So I think that that's some kind of things that we right now are changing. We have way more feedback from other people. We are giving our games to other people to test, and we can actually see them in some situations playing our game, and that makes a lot of the difference because we can look at what the person is struggling, what the person is actually feeling, and that's the kind of thing that the person want put on the feedback chart. You have to
mhm.
be there to see that the person is struggling with I don't know, with the attack button of or struggling with that mechanic or that level or something like that. And this in a online game is way more difficult to do. You have to have multiple devices, and you have to have the people around and stuff like that. So especially for us that we nobody lives near nobody, so each of
Yeah,
our members are in different continents and different time zones. Uh, that makes even it harder to make this kind of analysis of our own product.
absolutely. It's yeah, trying to getting out of our own bubble
Yep.
definitely a big problem, but also yeah, trying to get the right or just any feedback is. But I mean, we know what we did wrong, and we will improve that. First, we're working on a more, you know, uh, concise,
Hmm.
and a more focused scope game without the need of any multiplayer, hassle involved in it. If something doesn't work, then I will not hesitate to move on to something else this time. And I think that's also what the team really
Yep.
wanted. So yeah.
So with that takeaway, I have one tricky question for you.
Okay.
Is it possible to overcome a failure? Hmm.
Oh well, I mean, I guess we're still in the process. Uh, so I cannot give any examples for sure. But I think here's how I would say like overcoming failure. Honestly, you can overcome, yeah, or you can overcome probably the aftermath of a failure. You can recover from anything. Humans can recover from anything as long as you're conscious. And even if you're not conscious, like if people believe in what you believe, like they will, also recover it for, pass on the torch, so to say. But to put in more, yeah, simple terms, like failure is it's a word, it's a term that has so many different baggage and meaning, and overcoming. all those baggage, all the meanings that failure encapsulates. Because I think failure is not something that other people tell you. They are really the reaction towards the thing that you did that becomes a failure, and people just react to accordingly. So it's really what you impose on yourself, and I guess now it's a matter of framing. So failure, is there a lesson from this failure? Is it a failure that I, want to learn from, and do I want to, like, you know, yeah, I guess more in line with your question, overcome this, or is it a failure that burnt me to a point where I don't want to do this again? And I think it really changes a lot, and I have, throughout my not too long life, have experienced enough of those failures, both of them, to say, like, yeah, there are failures that I don't want to overcome, and ones that I really want to overcome. Now, but never say you can't overcome. Okay, first of all, never say you can't overcome a failure. If there's nothing to learn from it, um, and yet you still want to do the same thing, well, we call that insanity when you're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different outcome. Okay, but if you know that there's something to learn from that failure. Even if it's the long lesson, even if it's like the wrong lessons from that failure, I feel like if you still feel like you learned something and something is different enough so that it motivates you to move forward, and and overcome that, to achieve something that is, it doesn't have to be exactly what you want, but as close as it is to what you want. I think that's where real value comes from. And yeah, it's really goes both ways. Some people will say, okay, if you failed on something, adjust your expectations, and that's a realistic advice. And I think it's something that is universal in the sense that it works for probably most people's lives. But also, I see that as a lazy advice. Like, and people don't like lazy things. Like, they don't see value in lazy things. Sure, if you're depressed, then be happy. Like, yeah, no shit. Easier said than done. Yeah, sure. If I can adjust my expectations, then I don't know why. Like, I don't know why I was born like this. I don't know why I was born to be so passionate and to love a certain thing. I cannot. There are things that I can compromise. During the path, I can pivot. I will not, take shame in changing the methods, or acknowledging that I have failed, and people have told me that it will fail, and I have just proven people right. And of course, like, everything that I do is objectively, or not everything, but definitely a lot of things that I've done objectively, bad results are expected. But if I feel like I learned something and I move forward to, change my approach, but still go, but still want to maintain that passion that I have, or at least reinforce myself why I'm passionate for something, for that goal. I feel like the moment you do that and you just think about that, all of a sudden you just overcome your failure. Like, it just happens. It's not something that is instant. So for people who are watching, and I hope people who are watching also, uh, yeah, can agree with this feeling of feeling depressed, failed, and having a hard time, like, recovering from something. But also always, like, ask yourself, like, what is it that I'm trying to achieve? Why do I want to achieve this? And at some point, when you ask yourself that question, it goes over and over and over again, you realize that the answer is just because I want to. Like, you can't have a rational reason behind something that you want. And I don't think anyone can judge you for that. They cannot, no one has the right to judge what you like. They can only judge how you did it. It's only the methods. And don't take other people's feedback, criticism, um,
As
or
personal.
even their, like,
The,
yeah, exactly, like, their life lessons as, like, personal. Because, and I guess that's why I kind of sound very, diplomatic in a way, because I don't want to sound like I'm giving I don't want to make it feel like, oh, hey, I'm in a, you know, better place, a moral high ground because I sucked up to my failure. No, I don't know if I don't know if I took the right lessons. Okay,
Mhm.
I really don't know. All I know is like I know I learned something from it, and I know that maybe if I do it this time, something might change. And from people who are looking afar, like they might see me doing the same thing over and over again because they're just so far away that they don't know what changed,
Mhm.
and that's natural because I'm not really doing it for them. I'm doing it so at least I can convince myself that I've you know I've I took all the efforts within my availability, and I've gone as far as I can. And looking back at my life, I can see that I've went way further than I could have imagined when I first had this passion for video games.
Mhm.
And I think that is very important. So don't be ashamed of changing your methods. Don't be ashamed of even what we call principles. Like there are the principles that you are willing to share with other people, and there are principles that you're willing to keep to yourself. And you know, do not be ashamed to even change those if it means that you are able to achieve what you really wanted. And you understand what you want, because failure is always an opportunity to learn something new, and there's nothing you cannot recover from. It's just yeah, just know why you want it and how. Then the how, honestly, no one can tell you how the right how. And if someone says they know the right how, they're probably a scammer. So don't trust them too much.
Here in Brazil, we have this popular saying that if advices were good, we won't give it, we would sell it. So,
Oh, that's the Andrew Tate's business model, I see.
yeah, and
Although sadly nowadays, even the advice that people are selling are not
yeah,
good.
exactly. And
uh,
I think that this is obvious some kind of a joke phrase that we use here, but it's more like don't take what I'm telling you as forgiven, as something that will
ah,
work for
yeah.
everyone, and you can just do what I am saying, because sometimes what works for me won't work for you.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's just like the wealthy guy with a wealth family just say, oh, I just work hard and it works. No, you are fucking rich. That's why it works.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Although, I mean, people will, of course, like defend their position. Whenever they feel like they feel personally attacked, like they will be like, "Hey, hey, I'm wealthy because I worked hard, and you're poor because you're
Yeah.
lazy." It's like no, like it's not. It's never as easy as just a single answer. It's always a but, and in my case, or maybe statistically, there's always these like convenient words to say like, hey, maybe I'm right, but if I'm wrong, I'm not liable.
Yep. So I
It's
think
like
that what we are trying to do here is not we are trying to sell you some kind of bullshit. We are just saying that what we went through can be avoided somehow
yeah,
if you look from our perspective, and that's all. We are not
absolutely.
trying to make a ultimate guide to create your indie studio in 2026. That's not that kind of shit. It's just like
Ah,
we failed in the past, we are trying to not fail again, and that's why we failed, and that's why we are trying to not fail. That's all.
yeah. Although I will say, I guess I kind of lied because we are selling something through this advice and video. We're selling our game.
Mhm.
So yes, please, if if our conversation really like touched your soul in a way, if you can really resonate, give us a like on the video, and maybe follow our socials, and perhaps even play our
Yep.
game. We're gonna definitely make more. We're gonna make as yeah,
Maybe
as much as we can.
maybe we are trying to do other games. Maybe. I can't promise anything.
Yeah. Oh, we
Maybe.
are. I can just like spill the beans and just say
Yep.
everything. But you know what? No, I think we'll hide it for now because I want to. Yeah, I want the people to ask us
Yeah,
what we're
yeah.
making. Okay, I think that's better. Yeah.
Marketing.
uh, but I mean, I guess in the end it is marketing. Like we're not trying to like sugarcoat anything. But what we really want as an indie studio, or what it means to be an indie studio, I think, is to actually share this kind of stuff. Like being able to share this, and even like share the story, the behind scene, and how we made the game, but also the labor of our, the fruit of our labor as well. Like being able to share that with everyone, and I think there's no shame in that. So because I love it when indie studios, really share their stories, and that makes the video game for some reason even more charming for
Mhm.
me. Uh, because I don't see like I know some people will say like it's your sympathy farming, and okay, to be fair, like that's not far away from the truth. So okay, being a hypocrite and you can guilty as charged. However, my argument is that my vision for indie games as an artwork is that it's an experience. Like it doesn't have to be like a game doesn't have to always stand on its own. If you even like actual paintings, if you know like the artist's actual background, its history, you can sort of see like you get to appreciate why that artist had that specific style of artwork. It really reflects on it. If you just look at yeah, and Picasso, I think, is like a good example of, actually, no, Van Gogh probably is even more of a good example where you have like a very, mentally, very challenged person in many ways where they're struggling in so many ways too. But he knows how to express that in such a beautiful way. Like he knows how to express it, and I cannot speak for himself because I don't know like how he would have felt. But as someone who was inspired by his work, and as someone who is observing and consuming his and any artwork, if I get to see the effort behind that took behind that artwork, and not just speculating on it might have it must have taken a lot of effort. Like sure, like every artwork that's released, it's going to take a lot of effort. Like it's a given. And if we just look at objectively the effort versus the value ratio, then probably AAA games, like they literally grind people, okay, not literally, but like figuratively grind people into this creative machine uh, to print money
Yep.
essentially. That's like how it's functioning. But so the effort, the struggle is there, but when but doesn't but if the game is actually fun, uh, then okay, like you can say that there are. Actually, I don't know where I was going with this point because sure, you can make a different controversial argument where kind of like crunch environments are definitely a huge problem, and I feel like it becomes a problem when it becomes like a corporate culture. Okay, like that's a separate thing. Corporate culture. I'm talking about the individual artistic vision here, and even as a team, as a large team, if I still see that hint of artistic vision and that is being conveyed, then that the story behind it makes it extra interesting.
I think that
And yeah,
you are just presenting how you connect with video games and other art forms. And you said that you really love what Kojima does. And I think that Kojima
yeah.
make this kind of pieces that some of them aren't even a video game for itself. But
Oh yeah.
uh,
He really tests the
yeah,
boundaries for sure.
and I think that Kojima does that lovely. He
Yeah.
creates something. He tries to uh, put his own view, his own interpretation of something, and try to put it on a video game. Death Stranding for me is the best example for that.
I love that game
Yeah,
too.
and
Yeah.
for quite some time we didn't. know anything about uh, what would be the first Death
Yeah.
Stranding, and I remember that was, I don't know, one video game award that it actually was said that okay, Death Stranding is a video game, and everybody was okay, that's a video game. Whew. Because
Yeah. Uh, the marketing as well. Yeah. I mean, everything's like all cinematics and like having actual Hollywood
yep,
stars like appearing as themselves.
exactly,
uh,
and some and people was
yeah.
just, what's going on that? Is that a video game?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the poor normal readers was uh, always asked, what is Death Stranding, and he always said, I don't know, man. I don't know. I just don't know what Death Stranding is. So but I think that Kojima is a point out of the curve, because he's a guy with a lot of money, and he can just invite his celebrity friends to be part of his video games.
True.
But I think that smaller indie devs also can do that, not with celebrities, okay, but try to create experience and games that resonates with them. And
Hmm.
as I can say again, Undertale, it's a
Absolutely.
major takeout of what a top-down RPG maker game can be different.
Yeah. Although Undertale, I think that was made with Game Maker
Yeah, but
engine, no? Like
I'm just saying that
even crazier. Yeah.
it looks like a normal RPG maker game,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. And it has clear references there
yeah,
too. Like
and
yeah.
it has a turn, a difference. It makes it so different that it touches everyone's heart.
Hmm.
Here in Brazil, that's a phenomenon. A lot of people that I know are just crazy about Undertale, and with reason, because it's a masterpiece.
Yeah. And I guess like with your point regarding Kojima and like big budget projects versus indie projects, I guess I kind of want to yeah, I want to rephrase like what I said before, and the way how I see it in terms of games, vision, the vision of the creator, and how it's manifested as a an art medium, that you can experience. And I think video games are experiences in general. Hence why Kojima is like a master at that. Like he knows how to really push the boundaries of is it a game for replayability, fun factor? No, it's an experience, and he knows like when to break the fourth wall in like the most way that only video games can do. And that's that is like knowing the medium to a T. And I do agree with these your sentiment in terms of like having really big celebrity friends and a big budget to push things forward. You know what? Yeah, it is a bit unfair if you were to compare like that juggernauts with the indie studio, because Kojima Studio, technically speaking, I guess you can say an indie studio maybe, depending on the
Uh,
definition. It's like
uh,
they just started and they just have a one project, and also it's the sad reality is that yeah we are like in a let's say the gaming industry is becoming like Hollywood, where popular designer, game designers, game directors, or popular artists, like they, or even literal celebrities, in this case, like they sell the game. That is, kind of a sad reality, but that's also a reality that I feel like it's pointless complaining about.
but I think
Because
that's not exactly the case, because we had a lot of video
okay,
games that had major celebrities, and we just don't remember them anymore.
oh yeah, they've
Uh,
don't get me wrong, like they feel a lot,
yeah.
but I guess it's like
Uh,
I guess where finances and like where let's say the average people pay attention to and what is allocated the spot. What gives has a higher chance of being in the
Because
spotlight.
what I
Uh,
was
yeah,
trying to say is that I'll go back with what I said in the
yeah,
other episodes is that it's not just throw money at something and that will
yeah,
be a good product. Just like I don't know, when Xbox was trying to make the pivot of a video game to a media center or something like that, and they were trying
yeah.
to create Quantum Break as a as a video game
Oh,
experience
Quantum
with
Break. I forgot about that game. Yeah, until you mentioned
yeah,
it.
exactly. And
uh,
that's
uh,
what I was thinking when I was when we were comparing video game industry with Hollywood, because we already tried that and it failed.
yeah. Well, I mean, okay, but let's be real. Like, even with Hollywood, how many Marvel movies do you actually
Oh,
remember?
okay.
And like Disney movies, okay, like it's they and yet they still do
Yeah,
it. And if you look at the numbers, they still make for some reason a lot of money. I guess video games, there's a little bit of a nuance because of the nature of the medium. So, and also the demographics, definitely different. Video game movies are a little bit more casual in the sense that it requires less involvement of the consumer, right? Whereas in video games, you actually do have to commit to it a little bit. So there is a barrier to entry, and that actually does make a big difference. And that part I do absolutely agree. And I guess we're kind of talking about the same thing, like where yeah, I guess what I want to say is like effort. Okay, like the effort of the creator, or the story, the backstory of how it was created, or the effort, knowing the effort that it took for something to be released. Like knowing that, and that knowing that knowledge enhancing the product. Like for me, I do appreciate that a lot, because not just instead of just being a complete black box and just grinding creators in and out, like and you don't know anything what's behind it, but the output is really great, and therefore it's a good game. And when people say like, hey, good games should just stand on its own, which okay, I don't disagree, like it's true, because we're talking about video games here, but I guess it's not really just, for me, I don't want to think video games as just a game, or like go past the. I think we should go past the arcade era, okay, of games. So a game, the word game has so many different meanings, and they're two different people. I'm pretty sure there are still like moms who's gonna refer to every game console as Nintendo.
yeah,
It's like, he's playing that Nintendo again, not going outside with his friends. Like, ah, but I can't go outside. There's Corona. It's like what? Or there's like a bunch of like child diddlers outside, so we can't go outside anymore. We have to stay inside. Anyway, but like we are like living in a world where everyone can share their opinions, and I guess we are sharing our
yeah.
opinions, and that's like
That's exactly what
that
we are
have
doing here.
yeah, but I mean, that's why I like is like artwork, indie game as an artwork, where video games themselves become a kind of a statement in a way, where, and nothing like, I guess, important in the grand scheme of things. Can make that argument for sure, but still something where people, that okay, that person went, that far to actually make this happen and release it. Like that's why your example with Undertale, like that game is Undertale and Stardew Valley, and what like there's like several one man shows. Those games are just, and their stories are also the game story, but also like the story behind the creation is just so inspiring for me. And I think that's what I wanted to really say with video game as an artwork, and knowing the art, the process of making it, versus like how big corporations do it. Because I totally understand, like, yeah, they have crunch culture, and a lot of abuse, and absolutely terrible stuff. So it's not saying that they are not suffering, but I guess it's like the difference between people having a stable salary with like 9 to 5 job, versus like you working on something on your free time, and just putting that extra effort to put that out there just because you want it to be out there. I think that's like a very big difference. And that's where like I kind of, why I appreciate indie games and like this industry a lot, because that effort is also really recognized. Movies, you can't really do that with indie films. Like it's really a problem with the distribution, to be honest. production, like we can, there are many different ways to overcome that, and I think classical French films or most European films, like in the 60s and or actually 20s to 60s, like when Hollywood was kind of like at its golden era, the European film industry really had to struggle with, make magic with what they had, whereas the American Hollywood scene got all the budget, so they can really beef up their shit, and they kind of monopolized the distribution channel too. So there was a limited screening of like what was allowed to be shown, and that's like and we can have all these like conspiracy theories and then go into the political
Woo!
route and whatever. But well, and yeah, that's another fucking rabbit hole. But long story short, distribution, movies, movies they have a very specific distribution, and unless it has that goes through that distribution, we do not acknowledge it as a movie anymore. Because imagine if you were to make like a 2 hour, really well designed, well directed film, but on YouTube. Like, would you call that a movie? Even though like technically it would fit the criteria of a movie if you were to look at it like 80 years ago. Now it's like okay, it's because it's distributed on YouTube. It's now a YouTube video. Um, and same with video games. I would say distribution is really
Uh-huh.
everything.
And as you said, distribution is everything, and that
Yeah.
all.
In terms of sentiment, I mean, yes, but just to like correct the sentiment, like
No,
what
but
people
I think
see,
that
yeah,
you're
is
right because there's
right.
a big difference between the video games in consoles and video games into the PC.
Yes, oh yes,
There's a
absolutely.
huge difference. Some major hits on the PC won't thrive on a video game console, and vice versa. So,
Yeah.
and I think that that's the difference not only on the distribution because on PC you have Steam, you have GOG, you have Epic,
Sure, yeah.
majorly Steam, right? But at least you have
Yeah.
other options, and on console you have the proprietary marketplace where you can only purchase PlayStation games on PSN, Nintendo on eShop, and so on. So, and also the medium and how you control the game on PC, keyboard and mouse. Sometimes for some weirdos, a gamepad like us, and on
Yeah.
console, the inverted scenario because mostly gamepads and some weirdos will use keyboard and mouse for some games. So uh, I think that the distribution and the media itself will change how people will interact with your game, and I think
True.
that's how it will change how where you want to output your game. Like
Mm-hmm.
when Epic Game Store was being launched, we had a lot of Epic Games exclusive titles, and most of these titles were just tossed on into oblivion because nobody wants to launch Epic Games Launcher and play something right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I think that again, our moral is just we can we can be bought easily. So if Epic Games want to put more
You know what?
money
Yes, we're
on us,
happy to distribute
boss.
there. Please, yeah, please support us like you guys used to do with other
Yeah,
games like back
exactly.
in several years ago.
Support us just like you
Uh,
supported, I don't know,
yeah,
GTA
yeah,
5, and I can retire.
yeah. But I mean, you're right. Absolutely, especially with like, I guess like controls. You mentioned like that's a really good point because, and by the way, I think we're already going through our ADHD
Oh,
tangent
yeah,
here.
definitely.
So, but because I know this topic alone would probably deserve its own video, but I do have like a fairly yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say strong, but like I am opinionated in terms of like the role of input methods and how like the game is actually reflected on on the player's like perception because control and game keyboard and mouse like there are games like that really only works with a mouse or a keyboard and there are ones where generally we try to homogenize the gamepad scene. So like Xbox, even Nintendo now, like game controls are very similar in terms of the input schemes. So yeah, it's like a bit more universal. But with Steam Deck, it became quite interesting because Steam Deck, as you said, like Steam is the biggest distribution channel within the PC landscape, and it is, well, I mean, the gaming landscape as well, arguably. But with like when it comes to like how it's controlled and how people play it, uh, Steam was really bounded by the traditional PC gaming ecosystem until they started to have their own like straight own, let's say, distribution pipeline almost, where it's not just the marketplace, but now it's the
Oh,
hardware
come
as
on!
well.
Steam
Yeah.
saved games on gamepads on PC. Come on, before Steam, that was
It's,
just impossible.
yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, okay, you're right. Yeah, that's I guess that's the thing is like where when you could connect to okay, I guess to be fair, like Steam also had like really good Steam input support as well. So sure, like you're absolutely right. I guess why I say like it's going to be interesting is because now we have just a whole holistic like dedicated device as a console, if you may. I mean, it's just a Linux computer, but like still a console with a full, just a full workflow, pipeline of, hey, I want to play this game, buy the game, play it directly, and don't even have to like wrap my head around how the control works because like it's the same thing. We as like the industry, in the early I mean, probably you might know, like, from the early, let's say, late '90s until the early 2000s, where game consoles had some of the funkiest control
Uh
schemes
huh.
ever. The Dreamcast, and I mean, like, GameCube maybe like technically similar input scheme as the current, like the modern ones, but very weird way to put that together. And Nintendo, well, they're always creative with their input scheme because Nintendo knows how a video game is an experience and how
uh,
input
I
changed
think that
everything.
Nintendo leads the video game console environment.
Oh sure, yeah.
Nintendo allows something, and then the other the other companies will try to catch up. I
Oh, you're right, yeah.
so I think that Nintendo is always trying to take that leap forward, and not in the I'm making a beefier consoles with better graphics. No, we are trying to bring new ideas and new ways to interact with video
Yeah.
games. So
Oh,
yeah, they
they
innovate
innovate
exactly.
constantly. And absolutely, like I that's why I'm still like a Nintendo fan despite like their corporate
Yep.
practices. But and I guess the silver lining here is like just to like feel less guilty for playing their games. Okay, I don't play their recent games because too overpriced, like
Woo!
god
You
forbid.
should see their prices here in
When
Brazil.
Brazil, dude, like in Brazil, I heard like starting from the PS3, like the console prices were
Yep.
ridiculous. No, actually even way
It
before
was
that.
always pricey,
Yeah,
but since PS3 and go on, the numbers was just skyrocketing.
damn. Like, yeah, it's and then now and I guess now the world is catching up to that. Where they're like, okay, now the game is just too expensive.
That's the Brazilization of the world. It's just like
Oh,
the crabification for the biology. We are
yeah.
doing the Brazilization.
Hey, we were all Brazil like all along.
Well,
Everywhere
technically
was just
everybody
Brazil.
can
Yeah.
be Brazilian, so
Yeah. uh, but yeah, like and that like homogenization of like these input schemes and innovation, like it's Nintendo, like they definitely like go forward with new ways, but still like make sure that it's still like somewhat playable. I would say in a way I would say the Switch is probably like the most compromising input scheme in Nintendo's history, in my opinion, where like they like up before the Switch. And to be fair, I guess that's the reason why the Wii U failed. But like they really wanted to be so creative. They went so creative with all their control schemes, and the Switch was like, okay, like let's just let's tone the craziness a little bit down. We'll still keep it with being able to play the Joy Cons like as a separate thing, but we'll make sure that we have the drifting issues and make it shitty as possible. So they end up playing with like a normal controller
Don't
anyway.
forget
Yeah.
the Bluetooth disconnection problems
Oh,
and all of
yeah.
that
Oh,
stuff.
it's they have a lot of the stuff that we are kind of like taking for granted, like in other consoles. But at the same time, like the Switch is irreplaceable.
Yep.
Like the games there, it's still really good, even with emulation. I buy the games by the way before I emulate. Okay, so Nintendo do not sue us. But like but it's still like Switch is Nintendo when they make a game, and even the third party ones, especially the second party ones, like it feels home at that console, and it's a lot of Nintendo games in the past. Even then, like they have their specific charm that it's just such a unique identity, and it's an experience on its own, and that's why I appreciate that so much. And Steam, going back from that long ADHD tangent to Steam, and their Steam Deck input control. Why do I find it interesting? Yes, it's just a PC with an Xbox controller. Like it is essentially that, but with the Steam controller, having added touchpads and like the back
And the
paddles,
gyro.
that
Don't forget the gyro.
oh, yes, the gyro as like being a built-in thing as well. Like it's quite interesting because here's the thing. Like for PC games, most of them are essentially console ports. Like I mean, ironically, they make the game on the PC, but they make it for consoles and then report it back to PC.
Especially the
Because if you
major
make it for a
ones,
PC,
right?
it's not cool. Yeah, because they want to have the most common denominator, so that it fits the most platforms as possible. It's the most accessible as possible, and I appreciate that. There's no problem with that. It makes, especially someone like me, where I love to bounce between multiple games. I appreciate it when the control scheme is consistent. Like okay, it's a third person shooter game, so I expect what the controller is gonna look like. Up until even like PS3 era, like I was when I played what game was it? Spec Ops, I think. When I played that game, it's an FPS game on FPS on PS3. Amazing story, but the gameplay is like mediocre. The shooting button is not the trigger, but the
Yeah,
shoulder button. It's like so
that
weird.
that
But
was
I kind
common in the area because I remember when I was trying
of
to play the Last of Us remaster, and I still
huh.
had the PS3 muscle memory, and I was trying to shoot with the shoulder buttons, and I was, what the fuck's going on here?
Yeah. Also, dude, you must be rich to have a PS3 in Brazil. Yeah. So you were a bourgeois. Okay, I see.
I bought my PS3 way after the PS4
uh,
came out, so
I'm joking, of course.
it
Yeah.
was already
Uh,
quite old when I was able to play it.
Same with me actually. That's I was able to like recently recently like several years ago I just bought a PS3. It's pretty fun stuff, and control scheme with like these kind of like people, the market, the industry, the average consumers, like the they already have like this understanding pre no conception of what a control scheme would look like, right? They have this expectations. Keyboard and mouse are like either very like only for specific genres, if not like it's literally where anything goes, right? So very crazy. Even with like specific like known genres, third person or first person shooters or RPG games, even then like it's if you modded the game like to oblivion, then you're gonna have to like need extra buttons anyway. So it ultimately like there's no standard control scheme per se for PC gaming, and it's really just the consoles that really reinforce that hey, we should still make it playable within like this boundary. But the Steam controller, with its added stuff, and yet despite the existing let's say pre notion of like what a control scheme should look like on a controller, I'm really curious if there's going to be a video game where it's like only for the Steam controller, like only optimized for the Steam controller, and would that make any sense? Like both conceptually, but also just industry wise, and would there be any added incentive for any studios to like really even do that? And if that doesn't happen, then would Steam like essentially like kind of homogenize again, like how Nintendo did with their Switch, where okay, they're removing these unused stuff, but it's such a yeah. I'm really curious like how that would work because I really love the Steam controls buttons. I just don't I just don't like the fact that it's not being utilized enough, and I have to manually map a lot of things. But yeah, you know how video games like they have the console input mode and the PC mode like completely separate sometimes. Like that would sometimes break like the game when I tried to like use both of them at the same time. So it's yeah, it's that's the kind of hiccup that a lot of games have, and obviously the industry will solve itself after like products or game projects and different different ways of experiencing something or a specific game comes out. Because people will use things in a creative way, and I do like that a lot. And that's what I want to do with our studio too. But yeah, I guess if that happens, let's see where this industry hits. And I hope actually I think I will. No, I will not even think I will. Make sure that we are gonna be there
Oh,
to see it.
definitely. We
Yeah,
have the will, we have the knowledge. We just don't have the success game yet.
yeah,
But yet,
or any game.
or
But we yeah, it doesn't have to be a big. It doesn't have to be like really successful. I think
but
just
I think that
something people love.
the expectation it's okay because a failure for a big studio could be a major success for us. So I think that we are okay.
Oh, true. Oh, yes, true. Actually, yeah, yeah. At the same time, I know my vision for like the industry, both but also like just the game as a medium. Both. Of course, like I tend to think like maybe separately as like a product and as an artwork, or sometimes it's like mixed. But ultimately, as long as like people play it and they are happy, or they appreciate what's the effort that's going on, actually not even appreciate, but like if they criticize and that criticism leads to something better, like as long as it's something that leads something else, inspiring other people, like allowing other people to take their first step into their own passion and journey, like that. And most importantly, being true to your passion, like not lying to yourself. I think that's like, for me, that's already a good win. Like it's and that's what I love video games for, and that's what I really do want to see us, achieving with this, extra content, but also directly through video games. And what do you know? Like once we just focus on doing that, maybe we end up like really big, and that's probably like the best
Uh,
way
I think
to,
that we will
yeah.
be just as big as Chincherry. That isn't a big studio, but
Yeah.
they can live with what they do. Uh, I'm throwing them under the because they are fucking rich. But let's face it. But
Yeah.
what I'm trying
Oh.
to say is that we will be able to keep doing what we do and maintain ourselves, and that's it. I don't think that we
Yes.
will ever be a huge studio with lots of devs and artists because that's just not us.
Yeah, and yeah, I guess that's definitely a big takeaway, like from like who we are, but also what we want the viewers and the players and people who, yeah, like people who have seen us, like what's the main takeaway of like how should they remember our studio? Uh, People who were a bunch of team passionate geeks and dorks like who stand true to their passion, and if that's something that everyone, if you, the viewer, and the player find it inspiring, something that you wish you could do, what I can say is, if I can, someone like a talentless nobody like me can go through like that long journey of a huge failure, you can say, and still like pretend like, hey, we have something to show. Um, yeah, I think you'll do a better job, and that's why I encourage everyone to, you know, use what yeah stay true to their
Yep.
vision and their passion, like, then don't be afraid to express that. But also, um criticism is, like, it's, I guess that is what makes things better, because it presents other people's perspective that you have not had
Yeah,
before,
and
and that's what we're also looking forward to.
just to clarify, we are saying about criticism, not just hate, hate speech.
Yeah.
I
Well, I mean, even hate speech, like, if we were worth hating, like, if we were worth, like, someone, like, being riled up emotionally, I think we did something. Okay, maybe not a good thing if we're hated by everyone, but
if you're making something that is making some people uncomfortable, and I'm not saying about crimes, I think that's okay.
yeah. Yeah, it's okay, but even with hatred or criticism, let's put it this way. Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and also, we it's not like we're gonna change our vision. Like, it's not like we're gonna change our passion. The method will change. Lessons will be learned, and trial and error, and we'll express what we have learned and what we think at the moment and what we thought before. But we don't know what we're gonna think in the future, because that's gonna see what happens in the future, and you know, and if we can learn from any of the process, and if we can teach, I mean, I guess the word teach is not, I'm not sure if it's the right way to put it, but still, if someone can learn from what we have done as well, and not make the same mistakes, but also cherry pick the ones that, that they like
Hmm.
from this very long ass video, I think that alone is, it has
Yep,
value.
it's worth it. I think that if
Yeah,
we
worth
can
it.
at least make other people inspired, it's worth it the entire journey.
And we'll continue
Oh,
to inspire as
definitely.
well. Like, yeah, it's because, yeah, if it's worth it, then it's definitely gonna be worth even more in the future,
Sure.
right? So yeah, the journey's not gonna stop. Maybe a bit detour. And speaking of which, like, questions. Was it your turn, or like,
I
is
think
it my
it's
turn to
your
ask you the
turn.
question? Oh, okay. So final question for you, and this one is okay. Actually, a pretty nice
Hmm.
closing question. Goes a little bit hard into the failure part. I guess especially for me, what I like devastated inevitably, like, not blaming, is really is like no one but myself to blame. And now when like most of the team members started to leave one by one, um, for you, like, how did you feel, like, when yeah, people started to leave, or when progress halted more than it should have, and what motivated you, or what compelled you to stick with the
Okay.
team?
I'll I'll start in reverse order because it's easier for me.
Hmm.
I what motivated me to stay and keeping the team is everything that we were able to accomplish, and
Mm.
not only the takeaway to have the game and itself, but in the beginning we were just a passionate studio that were working in our free time. So in my head
Yeah.
we just went to the beginning. We took a step back, and sometimes that's the thing that we need to do is to take a step back and rethink what we were doing to take one or two or even more steps ahead. That's really difficult for someone with ADHD,
Yeah.
but that's how I saw what was going on in our studio and everything, and that was how I kept motivated, because we went through that and we thrived. So we can do it again, no problem.
Hmm.
So that was me rationalizing and what we were went going through, and Uh, what I thought when I saw everybody leaving, I think that's quite expected because people
Hmm.
has to do their
Of course, yeah.
they have their own lives and stuff.
If anything, they stayed way longer than,
Yep,
like,
exactly.
yeah, they put more effort.
So I think that that's okay. No, no harsh feelings. I still love each of of our prior members, and I think that I went through a brief phase of despair and trying to understand what to do, and then I just looked at what I went through until I got into the industry, and I said, I I have been through way worse of what I am right now,
Uh,
so I don't need to despair. Especially therapy was made a heavy made the heavy lifting for me, of course, but
mhm.
that was what kept me faithful and don't drive me into a I don't know despair mode or just I'll leave this shit and fuck it, but but that's it. I truly believe into our team and into myself that we can overcome this situation, and that's why I won't leave the ship.
Wow, that's very
Thank
beautiful.
you.
Yeah, I mean, I have to thank you, really, and I think a lot of the members as well. Like, I want to thank a lot of the members who were with us, and that's why, um, yeah, I know. It's like no one's. I don't want to blame everything on myself because that doesn't solve anything. I guess like it's not the blame, but I feel like I still owe so many people my gratitude and something. I guess that's what kind of keeps yeah, something in me to want to stick with the project, or I mean, like not specifically that project, but just to pursue, our dreams and hearing you with the. Well, I guess I think yeah, I think it really inspired me too. Like you're right. It's not the worst thing.
Yeah,
It's not the worst thing.
we went through a lot, so I think that we
Yeah,
can do that.
you're right. Absolutely, and I think that's something everyone should also, watching this, who are going through their own struggles or who know that they might have to, make a big decision. You should know that mo- most likely you have already suffered the worst at some point. Whatever worse is going to happen, probably it's even worse depending on the perspective. But it's not something that you haven't overcame if you have overcome whatever past adversities you had. So yeah, being afraid is natural, don't but not regretting. I
Yeah,
think that's the most important part. And
I think
mm,
that the best
it's
way to know if you are in the right path for you is to look at yourself in the past and uh, and ask yourself, would I change places with that older version of me? And if the answer
yeah.
is no, you are on the right path.
you know, yeah. I guess my outlook in my life is very similar too. Since I yeah, like me for me, video games, something that I loved since I was a child, still do. But most importantly, well, I want to become someone who my child self would be proud of. And like hearing, yeah, like hearing your side, and knowing like how to overcome that. I think you kind of answered your own question of overcoming failure
Yeah,
right there.
exactly.
Probably have a yeah, always a bigger failure, in the past, but also knowing that you know I mean, you can never know. It's faith. Faith is probably a more diplomatic term of you
Yep,
know having confidence in what where you're heading, because there's always a way to overcome, right?
yep.
Let's see. That's yeah. I think that was a very beautiful, sentimental
Yeah, I
ending
think that
right there.
we ended with a golden key, as we say here in Brazil.
I see. Nice. All right, then for everyone, thank you so much for watching. So we'll probably make this video, more often, and even if actually let's try like other forms of content
Yeah.
as well. I'd love to engage with people who are in a similar situation or who are planning on to be in a similar situation as much as possible. And yep, that's it from my side.
So I
Thank you.
think that's it. Thank you guys, and keep keep tuned to see our next videos. Subscribing to our channel, give us a like, and let's go ahead one step at a time.
Yeah. Also, for the outro, don't forget to actually I'll say it right now. And also, please check out our itch.io page. We have which one Crucible, available right now for play testing, and this all the long video they just saw. That's yeah, that's the output of 5 years, almost 6 years of effort.
Yep,
Put into it. So that's a very long journey, and I hope no matter how anticlimactic it might be, it's still encapsulates what we have
yep.
done. It doesn't change the past. And now we're also working on a new project, Meltdown, that's also on itch.io. Please check that out. It's a nuclear power plant simulator, high tense, high paced game, just to get that stress out into something else.
Two very different games,
Refresh your
right?
mind. Exactly, yeah. And of course, working on a third project, which we will share once it's you know, been put in the oven, so to
Yeah.
say.
So we have some updates to come, and try especially Meltdown. I think that that's a really good game, and we would love to hear from you what do you guys think about our games.
Yep. All right. Thank
Thank
you
you
then.
guys. See ya.